Oh my god, are you shitting me? Okay. All right. Hey, we are just going to be going live here in just a second. I think we are live. So I've got to hook up, I think, my Facebook. So I had an update, and sometimes when I get an update, it doesn't always work, if you know what I mean. So if you just give me 1 second. All right, hold on. Persistent. So let's copy. All right. Well, it's been a minute or two since I have gone live, and I apologize for that. Um, let's see. Okay. All right. Sorry here. I'm going to have to. Oh my gosh. Seriously. Oh wow. Seriously. Okay. Is that all right? I think we are good there. I'm going to have to do some editing. All right. Okay. All right. Finally, we made it. Okay. All right. Yay, we're here. Well, welcome to tonight's live. We obviously changed the time and the date and all of those things, so I hope all of it works for you. And tonight we're going to talk about the secret to working or dealing with bullies. And not that there's really any big secret, but I do think there are some best practice when you're dealing with bullies that we should talk about. But before we really jump into that, I want to talk to you about the reason we're talking about this and why I think it's super, super important. And the reason we're talking about it because I've heard from a lot of people this idea that the way we get across or the way we should deal with bullies is to stoop to their level and do what they're doing. And the reason that that's bad practice is because, we never want to stoop to their level because what they're doing is causing us hurt and harm. And I was listening to some politicians, and they were stooping to the level of unprofessionalism and name calling and that kind of thing. And yes, sometimes that kind of stuff does trigger me. But once the reason that you don't want to stoop to their level or do what they're doing is because as soon as you engage in unprofessional behavior, you are down in the dirt with them, and what you have to say loses credibility, and you really lose the ability to communicate your point across effectively. And so you don't ever want to get into the dirt with the bullies, especially if you're the one who's being victimized or you're the one who's being bullied. Because first off, you're not seen as on the same level as the bully. You're the one who's often seen as the problem in the workplace, because in workplace bullying there's double standards, there is my side bias. So you're already starting off in a playing field that is not level. And so when you um, start to call them names, or you start to raise your voice or do those kinds of things, it immediately makes you're viewed differently. And so that is, again, and in bully culture, you're going to be seen as the problem. And so if you're engaging in the same type of behavior they're engaging in, you're going to be viewed even more problematic. It's going to solidify for your colleagues, this maybe your supervisor, maybe for human resources, that you are in fact the problem. Okay. And the other thing is, when you react to the way to what the bully is doing, you raise your voice, you stand up in a meeting, you show frustration, maybe you even name call, then that is fueling their bullying, because the reaction, and being able to control how you respond is what the bully likes. Okay. And so it damages your credibility when you stoop to their level. Okay. First off, I also want to say this is that sometimes we do respond like they do, be out of frustration. And one of the ways that you can, a better way to respond to what they're doing is to pause before you respond, right? So make it a habit to do a couple of deep breaths, right? To think before you say anything, because that helps you respond in a way that's more effective. Okay. So we've talked about this on these lives before, the importance of really having grounding techniques to keep your feet grounded to the floor. And so if you pause and think before you say anything, and you couple that with grounding techniques that are really solid for you, that really help you keep your professional self professional, that's really important. Okay. So you always want to keep a calm tone of voice. Okay. So, and I always like to, when I am responding to a bully, or there's conflict, or there's high tension, is I have a very loud tone of voice. Okay. So a couple of things that you can do is just lower your voice a little bit more, right? So if you're someone like me who has a tendency to have a loud tone of voice and come across as loud, then I talk a little bit lower than what I would normally do. And it's not um, it's not comfortable for me to do. I have to plan, and I have to keep thinking about my tone of voice and how I'm coming across. So one of the things when you're dealing with a bully, it's not always what you're saying, but it's also how you're saying it. So being very conscientious about the words that are coming out of your mouth, the tone of voice, the how fast are you saying it, right? All of those things, those nonverbal kinds of things, make a difference. So the cadence, how you're saying it, and the tone of voice you're saying in it can make a huge difference. The other thing, when you're dealing with bullies, their job, or what they want to do, is create chaos. So they want to keep you on and make sure that um, your footing is off, right? So they want to say outrageous, ridiculous, and harmful things so that you will not remember what they said 5 minutes ago. So again, what you can do is, when you have a bully who's chaotic, who is always kind of trying to pull the rug out from under you, write down what you want to say. Okay? So keep a couple of points that you want to say, and stick to those facts. Stick to the work related items. Don't get caught up in all of this chaos that they're throwing at you, you want to stick to the facts. The point of muddying the waters when a bully talks to you or a bully is in meeting, the reason they want to muddy the waters because they want you to forget and get distracted. Don't get distracted. Stick to the facts, stick to what you want to say, and keep it always work related. Now, they're going to call you names or gaslight you and threaten your credibility and get you to try to think about other things, and you're going to stick to the points that you want to make. Okay? And so what that means is you're going to have to keep redirecting it back. You're going to have to keep bringing it back to the points that you want to make. Okay? And that requires also don't get distracted and become a broken record. So repeat what you want to say. You might have to say things like, you know what, Bob, I totally hear what you're saying, but we were talking about A, B, and C, right? I get it, but we're still talking about A, B, and C. We haven't moved from that point is because we haven't talked about it, right? I appreciate your willingness to be really, I appreciate your enthusiasm. We haven't finished with this. I again appreciate your enthusiasm, but we're still talking about this, right? You might call it, and I think we talked about this a few times back. It's the nice to nice, say nice statement, right? So you say something kind of complimentary. You're very firm about what you want to say, and then you finish it off with something nice, right? So you say something sort of neutral about what's going on. Then be very clear, be very firm, be very factual about what you want to say, and then you finish it off again with something kind of neutral, maybe slightly positive, okay? I really appreciate your enthusiasm. I really appreciate the fact that you have so many things you want to say. However, when you're interrupting, when you're cutting people off, when you're distracting with insults, those things aren't very helpful to the team, but I really love your enthusiasm, but we really need to give people a chance to talk. We really need to stick to the facts. We really need to work together, because when we're not doing those things, it's affecting the team. And when the team can't move forward and get our job done, then that's a problem. Okay? And so, how you say things when you're dealing with a bully is really, really, really key. So, here's the most important, right? It isn't what you're saying. Sometimes it's how you're saying it is more important. But what you say also does matter. So don't get into the weeds with bullies. Don't go sticking your nose into their tactics, because that affects your credibility. The secret to really dealing with a bully is not doing what they're doing. Okay? It's being able to say things clearly. It's being able to say things in a way, and it's dealing with a bully means being clear. It's being factual. It's being a broken record. It's not getting into the weeds, okay? It's actually doing things and engaging in professional behavior, okay? And so you want to be able to say things clearly. It's not saying things in a way that bullies do it, if that makes sense, right? You want to be brief. You want to be firm. You want to be to the point. You don't want to go on and on. You don't name call. You don't engage in their tactics, because you're not in the business of causing harm, okay? The secret to dealing with the bully is, in fact, being able to take the high ground. It's being able to say things clearly and effectively in a way that matters, and in a way that is more than, um, what am I trying to say? You want to be able to say things clearly. You don't want to engage. You want to preserve your credibility, even though a bully is trying to take that away from you, if that makes sense. Okay? There isn't, when you're dealing with the bully, the secret also is being able to, um, what do I want to say? It is more than a, a, a secret to dealing with a bully is being able to be flexible in how you respond. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, and so you might say something like this, I hear what you're trying to say. Again, I respect that you're enthusiastic, but we have not talked about anything that has any teeth in a few weeks now, and that's a problem. And so we need to deal with what we need to deal with in a way that's effective. That was a terrible example. Okay, but you have to be able to be factual. You have to be able to cut off their tactics and their kind of shenanigans in a way that is effective. Okay, in a way that's effective, but you can't replicate what they're doing and engage in bullying because you think that that's going to get you somewhere. It just doesn't work. And so when you're dealing with a bully, the secret is to strategize, is to be clear, it's to be factual. Okay? A strategy where you are, um, where you think, again, it just, a strategy to engage in the same type of behavior that they're doing and to cause harm is not a strategy. You have to do and be better, right? So you have to make sure you aren't reacting to what they are doing and that kind of thing. So I think the best strategy, the secret is to dealing with a bully, is to be clear, it's to be calm, it's to be grounded, it's to think before you say something, it's to sometimes, if that makes sense. And so, anyway, so the secret is to dealing with the bully is to pause oftentimes before you respond. It's to not stooping to their level, okay? It's to being clear, it's to being factual, it's to not causing harm to your response. So the secret is to, the secret is there, that's what, okay, wow, Jan.